There's often a concern raised that if you get to the bottom of the truth, that truth may be simply too painful for society to bear, and that it could even traumatize victims again, and it may induce further conflict. I think when you speak to virtually all victims, victims want to know what happened, and until they know what happened, it's not possible for them to reach closure, not possible for them to begin the healing process.
Recognition of a universal human right to truth has emerged from the demands of families of the disappeared, many of whom have spent decades searching for their loved ones.
கூடுதலாக அவங்க வந்து இப்போ காணாமல் போன ஆட்கள் வந்து தேடுறது வந்து தங்களோட உறவுகள் அப்போ நீண்ட காலமாக தேடிக்கொண்டே இருக்கிறாங்க. அப்போ அவங்களுக்கு அதில் நிறைய கோபம் இருக்குது.
Dalam usia senja kami ini, kami tetap punya harapan bahwa satu waktu negara akan mengakui bahwa sekian puluh tahun itu ada sebuah kesalahan yang telah menimpa kami. Dan kami memang bersembunyi sekian puluh tahun bukan hanya karena takut tetapi juga karena trauma.
The right to truth is an emerging principle of international law related to the right to information. It has a foundation in existing human rights treaties and laws. The right to truth doesn't only exist for cases of disappeared, but extend to other human rights violations. The right to truth is the foundation of victims' rights. Truth commissions are usually established by decree or law to seek truth about mass violation committed during a conflict or prolonged period of repression. Truth Commission takes statements, conduct hearings and investigation, hold public hearings, and produce a final report of their findings and recommendations.
A Timor-Leste e a Comissão de Alós nebema consegue halo documentação basada em Rihungualo, nebema halo mos audiência pública, nós processo de reconciliação entre Timor-Ansira e ex-milícia Husi pro-autonomia, nós entre Timor-An e mos Timor-Ansira raci. Ami contente também resultado dos relatórios CAVR, bele documenta caso violações Sira Husi Tinang 1975 até 1999, nós sai importante teves também saímos nessa matadala para futuro nação Timor-Leste.
Actually, it was stated in the peace accord. In one article, it said that to deal with past abuse of human rights, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Aceh will be set up. We have the obligation to try to gather as much as evidence as possible for all of the human rights abuses that happened since December 1976 to August 2005.
Masyarakat sipil yang salah satunya lah menghasilkan yang namanya Kanun Komisi Kebenaran dan Rekonsiliasi. Pada saat itu, Desember 2008, kita menyerahkan kanun itu kepada pemerintah Aceh dan kepada DPR Aceh.
In the southern part of the Philippines, there is the so-called Transitional Justice and Reconciliation Commission, which is part of the mechanism in the government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front peace process. And this is to help in the normalization process, and the mandate of the TGRC is to make a study on what are the legitimate grievances of the Moro people in the southern Philippines, historical injustices committed against them, human rights violations, and their marginalization because of the loss of their lands.
There have been several commissions over the years in Sri Lanka which specifically looked at issues such as disappearances. So it's a kind of truth, but what people ask is the return of their loved one, or truth, the information about what happened, and an investigation into that. Now that hasn't happened.
Truth can be blocked when there is no political will from a government to acknowledge mass violation. When this happens, efforts to conduct fact-finding may be obstructed.
Of course, during these periods, we have democratic government where people can speak freely, but there are many law and issue that you can call it taboo, or people feel fear to talk about. So to bring the truth publicly discuss is our big obstacle.
After a national law of truth commissions was struck down in 2004, civil society and victims groups worked for more than a decade to replace it, but there was no success. Then we, as part of the National Coalitions of Truth and Justice, organized an event of truth seeking. We called A Year of Truth in 2013. During that year, we organized 10 public hearings in many places across Indonesia, organize and collect our database from various groups, and produce a final report called Reclaiming Indonesia. This was our way to speak to the government that we don't have to be afraid to speak out our past.
In Myanmar, civil society are conducting documentation and survivors are demanding for recognition and speaking out about the torture and abuse they experienced.
My generation fighting for commemoration, of 14 October uprising in 1973. We spent, more than 10 years before the government to agree to build like a museum nearby the place of the killing.
In victims and actors and communities and groups talking about the conflict, we will be able to better understand the root causes. And I think that will provide a lot of groundwork for us to understand and even build a process of reconciliation in Sri Lanka.
The truth can bring the common agreement between both sides, and it is the most important task to do because it leads to reparation, to prosecution. And once we heard the root cause of the problem or of the conflict, then we can think about how to reform institutes for the future of our country.